For 29 years, the world believed that Sister Miriam and her 4 fellow sisters disappeared forever on a stormy September night in 1988. Some said we were dead. Some believed we had secretly run away with men. But the truth, the real truth, is darker than anything anyone could have imagined. I am Miriam. I am 71 years old now. And today, after almost 3 decades of living in the shadows, for the first time, I will tell you the real reason why 5 young women climbed over the monastery walls and vanished completely from their old lives. This is not simply a story about a shaken faith. This is a story about the devil hiding behind walls that looked holy. A story of 5 women who had to abandon everything to escape a private hell. If you are listening to this from anywhere in the world, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Because no matter how painful it is, there are truths that must be told. No matter how heartbreaking, there are stories that must be heard. And this story might change how you see faith, strength, and the price of truth. If you're ready, I will begin. Because what I'm about to tell you are things I was forced to keep silent for many long years. My childhood, my silence, and my entry into the monastery. Since childhood, I had always been introverted, someone who preferred observing over speaking. I paid more attention to the shadows in people's eyes than to the words coming out of their mouths. My mother always said, "Miriam, there is something different about you. You see things others cannot." Maybe that's why I was the first to notice the darkness hiding inside the monastery. The only one who saw the shadows behind angelic smiles and memorized prayers. I entered the monastery at age 16, completely by choice. I wanted to serve God with both my body and soul. The first years, I truly believed I had found what I was looking for. The monastery was called the Monastery of Saint Serenity. Grey stone walls, narrow windows, a carefully tended garden, and a chapel that looked like it dissolved into the morning fog. It was like a painting. Our days were simple. At 5 a.m., the bell rang, and we prayed together. Then everyone went to their assigned duties. My duties were mostly the vegetable garden and the kitchen. Every time my hands sank into the wet soil, I felt one step closer to God. We sisters were like a small, tightly bonded family. Sister Helena, 65 years old, responsible for the kitchen. Her bread, crispy on the outside, soft as cotton on the inside. She always said, "Feed the body first, so the soul has the strength to breathe." Sister Althea, the intellect of our group. She could read for hours in the library without looking up, reciting scripture effortlessly. "Knowledge is another form of prayer," she would say. Sister Maren, always smiling, loved by children, the joy of the monastery. "A sad saint is not a good saint," she'd laugh. Sister Lena, the youngest, only 19, and in the monastery for just 6 months. Quiet, shy, fragile. When we worked in the garden, silence spoke louder than any words between us. And then there was Mother Superior Verena, strict yet soft-hearted. She often said, "Love without discipline becomes weakness. Discipline without love becomes cruelty." Our lives were devoted to service and prayer. To outsiders, the monastery was a symbol of peace and goodness. And then, the shadow entered. The arrival of Father Silas, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Our longtime spiritual guide, Father Lucas, was reassigned. We were saddened, but accepted it as God's will. Soon after, a new priest was sent to replace him, Father Silas. I still remember seeing him at the altar for the first time. Tall, imposing, a deep voice that echoed off the stone walls. The townspeople admired him instantly. On his first visit, he brought small gifts, a book for Althea, a little statue for the chapel, seeds for our garden. From the outside, he looked like the perfect priest, thoughtful, generous, kind. But the first crack appeared during my very first confession with him. The first discomfort in the confessional. The questions he asked were nothing like I had ever heard. He asked unnecessary details, digging into my past, questioning how sinful I truly was, pushing into private thoughts with a tone. That felt more like pleasure than guidance. His gaze lingered too long. His hand on my shoulder stayed longer than appropriate. I said nothing at first. I thought maybe I was imagining it. But over time I realized I wasn't, because Lena began avoiding him too. The atmosphere in the monastery subtly changed. Laughter vanished. Silence thickened. Then Mother Verena fell ill with severe pneumonia. She was bedridden for weeks. Without her presence, the monastery lost its protection, and the shadow I felt became undeniable darkness. The first crack, the desperation in Lena's eyes. Silas started coming more often, for spiritual support, he claimed. One day, while searching for a book in the library, I witnessed something that still haunts me. Between the shelves, Silas had Lena pinned against the wall. His hand gripped her wrist so tightly. Her face was flushed with pain and shame. Something inside me broke. That night, I barely slept. Is this truly happening? Can this happen in God's house? Can a priest be like this? Deep down, I already knew the answer. Later, in the garden, Lena dropped a tool. Her hands were shaking violently. I whispered, "Lena, what did he do to you?" Tears streamed down her face. "No one will believe me, Miriam. He is a man of God, and who am I?" In that moment, my anger wasn't just toward Silas. It was toward the entire system protecting him. Seeking help, Althea and the Mother Superior. I told Althea everything. She didn't react at first. Her silence lasted days. Then she finally whispered a single word. Evidence. That's when I realized. Being angry was not enough. If we were going to speak, we needed proof. So I went to Mother Verena. I gathered all my courage and said, "Mother, I have something serious to tell you." "Lena? Father Silas?" She cut me off. "If such ugly thoughts come to your mind about a priest, then you are the one who needs confession. Go kneel in the chapel and ask forgiveness for these sinful thoughts." She accused me of sin, for saying a priest could do harm. At that moment, I understood something clearly. This system was not built to protect us. A desperate attempt. Going to the bishop. As a last resort, I decided to go to the bishop in town. "I need to buy supplies for the sick sisters," I said. An easy excuse, since I often did such errands. I went straight to the bishop's office. I waited for hours. When I finally entered, I told him everything. What he did to Lena, Marin's changed behavior, my own disturbing experiences, dates, times, notes. He listened without much expression. Then he said, "Sister Miriam, these are extremely serious accusations. Father Silas is a respected priest. Are you absolutely certain?" "Yes," I said. "I fear for the safety of my sisters." "I will investigate," he said. "But you must remain silent. A scandal like this could damage the church." I left with mixed hope. But 2 days later, I learned the truth. I hadn't opened a door. I had kicked a hornet's nest. Betrayal, the decision to exile me. 2 nights later, Silas showed up at the monastery at an unusual hour. His usual slimy smile was gone, replaced by pure rage. He spent an hour behind closed doors with Althea. When he came out, she was pale. As he passed me, he leaned in and whispered, "God does not love those who slander his priests." The bishop told me everything. My blood ran cold. Soon after, I was summoned. Silas read the bishop's decision with pleasure. Sister Miriam is to be transferred to a distant monastery in Montana for disobedience and making false accusations against a man of God. It wasn't a transfer. It was punishment, a silencing. And that's when the truth struck me. The church would never protect us. Inside my head, one sentence echoed. We have to leave. Now. The escape plan, whispered between potato crates. That night, in the dim light of the cellar, surrounded by potato crates and old jars, 5 women whispered their desperate plan. Me, Althea, Maren, Lena, and Helena. We have to escape, I said. Althea, if we run away, we will look guilty. Everyone will think we committed a sin. Maren, with a sad smile. They already think that, she said. We will carry their shame, their silence, and their betrayal no matter what. Lena cried silently. Then Helena spoke, her voice steady despite her age. I have lived behind these walls for 60 years. I thought I would die here. But sometimes God wants us to leave, not stay. If escaping is what will save you, then I will go with you. If this is God's will, so be it. We all knew it then. Staying meant dying slowly, but we still didn't know how to escape. Jonah, God's silent help. Jonah Reed was the man who delivered produce to the monastery. Quiet, rough hands, gentle eyes. One day he looked at me and said, "You don't look well, Sister Miriam." "I'm fine," I lied. He shook his head. My late wife used to say I could sense people's burdens. If you or the other sisters ever need help, I will do whatever I can. My heart froze. Why would you say that? I asked. His voice softened. I had a daughter once. She joined a monastery in the north. A priest there hurt her. By the time she told me, it was too late. A painful silence filled the air. I whispered, "We need help, Jonah." "More than you know." After that, we communicated through small notes, hidden between vegetable crates. One note said, "There is a weak section of the back wall. A large oak leans over it. No glass shards there. I will leave an old rope ladder in the bushes." The plan was simple, but dangerous. Wait for a stormy night. Climb the weak wall. Meet Jonah's truck. Leave everything behind. The unexpected ally. Sister Helen. Just before the escape, someone entered the cellar. Old Sister Helen, the one who always defended Silas. "I know what you're planning," she said. We froze. But then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a handful of crumpled bills. "Take this. It's everything I saved from sewing work." I stared at her. "Why are you helping us?" I asked. Tears filled her eyes because I stayed silent for too long. "Other girls suffered before you. I lacked the courage to help them. But maybe I can help you. It's too late for me, but not for you. Go. Stay alive." Her words broke something inside me. Silence wasn't only our burden. Many women in those walls were prisoners of fear. That night, September 17, 1988. Jonah left us a note. Tonight, midnight, rain is coming. We lived the whole day pretending nothing was happening. At midnight, the bell rang 12 times. The sky broke open with rain. We went to the cellar, folded our habits one last time, put on the civilian clothes we had hidden. We looked at each other, not as runaway nuns, but as 5 women choosing life. We stepped out into the storm. Maren threw the knotted bedsheet rope over the wall. I climbed first. My hands slipped on the wet stone. My heart raced, but I made it. Then Maren, then Lena, then Althea. Helena struggled. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't make it. But her hands gripped the top, and the look in her eyes was the look of a woman tearing through decades of chains. We jumped to the other side and ran. Mud, rain, darkness. 5 women running for their lives. We didn't look back. Jonah was waiting. 3 of us squeezed into the front, 2 hid under the tarp in the back. The engine roared. The monastery, our old life, slowly disappeared behind us. We didn't know it then, but our disappearance would become a legend. People would invent stories about us, and we would spend 29 years living in the shadows. All we knew was, if we stayed, our souls would die, and God didn't want us to die. He wanted us to leave. If you want part 2, write "Bring Part 2" in the comments.